Hello everybody, and welcome back. I am Mr. JP, the game is Out of Ore. And first I'd like to throw out a big thank you to all my viewers and subscribers out there, all of the people who are just viewing, randomly, to those who are viewing regularly. It's a big day. I had 3,000 views, and we've just gone through 30 subscribers, so that is more than I ever expected. So yeah, big thank you. Big shout out to the guys at NMC and Christian, the developer, as well. We're having a lot of fun on this Saturday morning. It's a bit chilly outside, I'm going to say that. Yeah, everything's frost covered and it's very Christmassy, I'm not really a Christmas person, I don't get that excited. But I'm excited today because I decided to join the Dreamite crew. I've laid out 10 bits of Dreamite on this hill, and yeah, let's have some fireworks for the season. All the kids have probably finished school, let's celebrate. Let off some steam. Now I've turned my graphics up to high in the game because I noticed, looking back at my videos on YouTube, that they're looking a bit blurry and stuff. So if this doesn't improve matters, then I'm going to have to... I don't know if it's YouTube's upload settings or whether it's the settings for the capture software I'm using. But we'll do some experiments, see how it goes. If I get into trouble, I'll ask you guys, and you can give me your sage advice on these things, because you're very good at the sage advice, by the way, viewers. Very good at it. Loving the response. So yeah, we've just gone in with the Dreamite. It's made some nice holes. Yeah. May have potential. May have potential. Okay, so that's Dreamite blasted a few holes around this seam. So we'll just go in and clear up this little ridge it's left behind, because I didn't realise that the diameter... It's the first time I've ever used it, guys. I spent my life on the red stuff, mainly because I was blowing out sort of the firm pay dirt. So just move some of it up into that hill, out of the way really. Most of the aim here is just to get a bit of workroom around the seam. So I could bring the dozer up here to do the same job. No real point. Dozer's doing a different job down there. Yeah, use the machinery just to run it out there. Why not? Let's see how much we can load before the frame rate kicks in. The other reason I turned my graphics up to high was I wondered whether having it set to low was limiting the amount of memory available for the generation of these little particles. So we'll see whether my theory is correct. It probably isn't. I'm often wrong. Whilst I can be pretty sharp and pretty quick a lot of the time, sometimes real life gets me bad. Been seeing lots of very smart doctors and professors in London recently, and they think I might have ADHD or autism or one of those disorders. Gotta be honest, I asked my GP about it about 15 years ago and he laughed. But I suppose attitudes have changed, and now I'm on a waiting list for assessment that's a year long, which is not something I wanted. I've already got a few things hanging over me. Genetic test for a pretty horrible genetic disease. That I score 6 out of 7 on their scale of whether they think I've got it or not. So currently they don't think I've got it. We'll see. We'll see about that. I'm undecided. It's one of those that it would explain a lot of things, but at the same time, it's not exactly something you go out in your life to want. It's not one that you want. But since I'm in the position that I'm in because of the damage from what happened in the accident and emergency, the dark irony is that genetic disorder is actually the least of my problems. Because even if I don't have it because of that damage, I now have to live my life like I do. So it's kind of ironic. But yeah, viewers have been mentioning that just keep doing what I do. I will. I might get a bit more professional about how I make my videos. Maybe start editing bits out. Trying to be less ragey. Trying to be calmer. It's because of the damage that's been done to me. I can't get worked up anymore, and I've got to stop getting worked up. So yeah, try to stay a bit calmer maybe. I'm going to try and, if I go on world events, I'm going to try and keep it a sort of neutral viewpoint, because like I've spent a lot of time researching some of the things I talk about, and so I've got like a pretty strong opinion in one direction or the other, but at the same time it's factually based. If you were to come to me with a new fact about that subject, I'd be all ears, because like it's just an opinion. You can change an opinion, right? It's not belief. Also, if I ever get onto like religion and stuff, I'm not that religious, brought up a Christian, but probably more of the closest you'd probably get is like Star Wars Mandalorian, but the old one, not the Disney one. But yeah, it's all a bit crazy really. Everyone's arguing about it all and stuff, and I think people should spend more time finding the similarities and the differences in that respect on that one. And bear in mind, no one's got any evidence, so it's all just a theory. Personally, I think the best thing to believe in is Mother Nature. It's got more of an influence on your life than most things. But yeah, so if you ever hear me talking about that kind of thing, most of the problem I have with all religion is the mainstream stuff, and when money gets involved. It shouldn't be involved. It's about between you and whatever's out there. Whether you believe in God, or the great giant baked potato, or the giant marshmallow, or Buddha, or whatever, it doesn't matter. They're all just different ways of approaching the same thing. In the same way as if you look at a statue from one side, you see like a person with a shield, and if you look at it from the other side, it looks different. It's all about perspective, and it's all about ways of understanding, and different cultures have different ways of understanding. And so around the world, the same story might get a bit like Chinese whispers, changed. That's sort of the way I look at it. But yeah, it could be a power for great good, and I think it's been abused over the hundreds of years. People seem to forget that religion was the first government. Might still be the first government in some ways, when you look at places like the Vatican State and that kind of thing. There are 3 places like the Vatican in the world. One is the Vatican, one is I believe Washington DC, and one is the City of London, not the metropolitan city, but the actual central sort of square mile. I can't even remember the actual name of it. Terrible. I'm a Brit and I've lived here all my life, but I probably wouldn't pass a citizenship test. How terrible is that? But yeah, those 3 cities. Monte Carlo might be as well. I'm not sure about that, but they're self-dependent states within states, and that makes them a little bit unique. And it's just interesting that they sort of represent 3 corners of power in the world. There's some funny conspiracy stuff out there. I'll let you find it yourself if you're interested. It's good stuff. But back to Out of Ore. Yeah, I'm having a lot of fun. I am enjoying this. Not liking the FPS drop thing, but I've turned all my graphics up to high and my machine's not working any harder. I'd like to check that out. And I'm just bulldozing this open to give me a bit of work room, mainly. We'll go and dump this in the hopper and see what it does on the FPS. I'm thinking I'm being a bit daft because I'm doing a road build and I'm just bulldozing this stuff around. I should be moving it. You'll have to excuse me. You'll occasionally hear crumpling and rubbing. It's I'm sat in a outdoor jacket. I'm wearing a COVID mask because my microphone pops, so that crackles a bit. And my hands are frozen, so I keep on rubbing them together, which is why the vehicle occasionally stops and stuff. Maybe when I get my twin joysticks I'll be moving a bit more and I'll stay a bit warmer. Likewise if we actually bothered turning the heating on when it was -4 outside. But yeah, ways different people live. It's a big house, it's 100 years old, it's full of drafts. It looks really nice from the outside and people are like, oh yeah, must be really nice to live in a big house like that, and it is, but you end up collecting more junk, like lots more junk, and it costs a bomb to run and a few other things, like it's falling apart. But yeah, it's still nice. You know, it's nice to have the space when you're 6'6" and pretty wide. You know, it's good to have full-size doorways and not to have corners sticking out in places and stuff like that. It's almost a disability when you're too big to fit the ergonomic way that the world is being designed around you. People don't really think about it, especially car designers. Oh my gosh, car designers. Like, I want to drive these quarry machines because, gonna be honest, the cabs look quite comfy from what I've seen. You know, even on these models. Plenty of space, plenty of leg room. Look at that. Look at that. Oh my word. Like, assuming this guy's an average 2 meters height because the block's about 1 meter and he's about 2 blocks high. No. He can fit through a 1 block hole, so the blocks are 2 by 2, I think, by memory from what I saw on the Discord. But either way, there is enough room between his knees and the dash. Wow. Like, I dream about a car with this much room. I actually do. Anyway, back to the mining. Sorry, getting all excited there about cars that actually have enough space in them for me to be in and be comfy. You have to understand, I went through small cars when I was a youngster, and my mates went through small cars because they're cheaper, aren't they, to insure, you know. And when you get them for 50 quid and they've got a year's MOT, they're sometimes a little unreliable, if you see what I mean. Those kind of cars. If you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. And yeah, so when his Metro needed to, it was a Metro, there was a Fiesta, they all needed driving back because they'd either had too much to drink or it had broken down and they'd had a near miss of an accident and damaged it and they were worried about driving it, so a bit nervous, that kind of thing. So I drove it back. And yeah, those small cars, jeez. It was tight. I had my knees up around my ears literally in the Metro and the Fiesta. The Mini I gave up on, and then my mate took the front seat out and I could drive it. Yeah, there's been some fun times with cars. I was a bit of a petrol head when I was younger. But, yeah, I have noticed in this game at the moment that when you're... So I'm digging away here, and the actual dig doesn't really affect FPS at all. Distortion of the earth behind can do. Depends how much of it you do. And when you tip, if you get into the dumper with this, those particles don't spawn and it doesn't really affect your FPS at all. You'll see 1 or 2 FPS drop. Also, if you tip out slower from the bucket, it seems to reduce the FPS drop, so that can help you out a lot as well. Just go in here again, take out a bit more of this lump, I think. Yeah, the bucket positions have been tuned, I believe. From what I can see, they seem to feel a bit more on now, which is good. It's really good, actually. I am really enjoying the game. I'm just frustrated by this FPS thing. But they said there's a machinery rework coming on, and they have mentioned that they're working on this FPS drop thing. So hopefully, touch wood, have a nice smooth game for Christmas, and I can sit and play out of awe on my new joysticks and hide from my family in the evening when they start drinking. Because, to be honest, I'm not a big one for alcohol. Got opinions on other subjects, but I know plenty of people who drink who think that those other subjects are a bad thing and you shouldn't do them. And they're doing a drug. All just drugs. Paracetamol's a drug. Coffee's a drug. Jesus, coffee a drug. I'm an addict to coffee. We won't even get into nicotine and stuff. I mean, geez. Pretty much, if it's a stimulant, I love it. Within reason, obviously. But those are the old days. With an aneurysmic aorta, I can't raise my heart rate or blood pressure, so those days are gone. Gone. New me. New karma, more boring. Ugh. I miss airsoft. So yeah, I'm digging away here, and I'm just slowly sort of... the aim is to get a bit of a smoother, lower ramp in here, really. Bugging me a bit how steep it is. So I'm just gently taking out a little bit of material here, bulldozing just up the hill, really. And just pushing it back so that I get a bit more of a smoother ramp in. We've nearly got enough for the roller, I think. I just want one more load of cash in the account there, another 100 grand, and then I'll be buying the roller, just to cover any risks and expenses that might crop up, like the 40 grand a day loan payment I've got to deal with. I hate having debt hanging over me in games. Like the first objective for me in this game is get some machinery, get some roading, get some cash, because you can do this with the seams that are nearer, but I've been choosing to do it. All of this was bullied out yesterday evening with the bulldozer in a couple of hours. Didn't take long, just so we're clear on what has happened here. The tiles I put in just as a guide for where I wanted the road, and then I went in with the bulldozer and just kept bulldozing until it was roughly the right level, sort of thing. And it seemed to work out quite well, so I'm just going to tip a run along there, because it was a bit bouncy along there, so go in and smooth that out in a bit. So it's going to be a bit bouncier along there this time, but and when I say smooth it out, I was going to bring the bulldozer in over there, and that's where I want some material as well, in that section. So let's get the cash and get the roller. That way you can see just how much lithium can earn you. Give myself a bit of room to work over here. Terrible for that. Park the dumper too close and then fight for 10 minutes trying to get the bucket round. Well, it feels like 10 minutes, it's probably only an extra few seconds, but you get what I mean. Yeah, let's take the top out of this seam, because there's quite a bit of lithium just in what I've exposed down to the step. We should make quite a few mil here. I took 700,000 a few bucketfuls out of the seam up near the sell point in my last game that I started, because I started 2 new games. Did one. This one started fresh after the update. So, am I getting any frame lag when I dump? Nope, that's good. As I say, if you can get the bucket close enough to the dumper and not generate those particles, you don't see the lag, which is brilliant. So I've been thinking about bulk dumping into dumpers and then using those to dump into the hoppers, so you only get one burst of the lag. And I actually haven't had an Unreal crash yet, which means that whilst I'm filming, it's probably going to be, if it happens, if we get an abrupt end, I'll mention the fact the video was ended abruptly by the lag crash in the description. Because naming and shaming these problems is the only way to get them to a developer's attention. Like, it's, you know, pretty much fact, isn't it? If no one tells you what you're doing wrong, how do you know? So I just like to try and keep it constructive. Like I see so many comments on Steam like, oh, the game is broken, but they're not saying why, and they're not saying the symptoms, they're just moaning, which isn't constructive. If you're going to point out problems, you've got to point out solutions. A bit like pulling out your taser and shooting the kid doing the Fortnite dance, you know. Modern problems require modern solutions. And yeah, better than using an airsoft gun or something real. Say taser. Something. You need something that gives a jolt but is a little lower. Maybe like the shock collars they used to use for training dogs that they made illegal on animal cruelty reasons. Personally, I think it's pretty cruel to keep a dog in a city, but there we go. I class them as a dangerous wild animal. They can be trained, but having seen 2 German Shepherds attack a friend of mine, no, not in a house. Sorry guys, they're a weapon. If they're badly trained, or if, as was the case with these 2, genetic brothers, and they both had the same genetic deformity, which was causing them pressure in the brain, which sent them a bit wild, which was the problem with them. So wasn't anything to do with the owners. There was no repercussions other than for my friend and so. But yeah, so yeah, I like cats. Don't get me wrong. I do like animals. I do like dogs, but they're the kind of animal which I'd keep outside in a run and only have in occasionally as a treat for them, sort of thing. But yeah, you don't leave them in a run. You take them out, you walk them. They should have a job as well. Dogs should have a job. Cats have a job. Keep the mice at bay, and they do it naturally. Dogs do the same thing. They're a natural security guard. I prefer geese. Geese are evil. A friend of mine keeps out, I think they're alpacas, or used to. They're a nasty defence thing as well. They spit at you, they kick, they bite, they do all sorts. Evil things. But I don't mind it. If you're going to keep an animal, you've got to know the risks, right? The risks with the dog are too high, the risks with large cats are too high. I go up to a certain size and then I'm like, yeah, we need a cage for that one. I think you probably live okay with something about the size of a bobcat or a Eurasian lynx. I'd quite like to keep a Eurasian lynx, but it would require fencing my property and building some kind of sort of tree habitat, and maybe underground section that's refrigerated so that it can get out of the heat in the summer. There's a few things about keeping them you have to be careful about. They're quite defensive. They're pretty much only ever going to like you. They're not social. But you can also train them to tolerate humans enough that you could take one on a lead to the pub, which is going to be interesting when someone's Jack Russell decides to try it on. Always amusing. A friend of mine ran a pub and had this big old German Shepherd, and it was soppy as anything, like soft as a brush. But it didn't like Jack Russells. It was quite funny about Jack Russells. It didn't attack them or anything, but you could see its hackles rise the moment it saw one. And yeah, when they tried it on, it didn't last long. It was normally a case of the Jack Russell got grabbed around the neck and dragged out of the pub by the other dog and left outside, which was quite amusing. But I think it's behavioural, because the landlord concerned used to pretty much do the same thing to anyone who misbehaved. It's good fun. Did like my younger days. Things were a little less controlled back in the early noughties. So yeah, as you can see, I'm just running back and forth. Got 311 grand. Excellent. Roller time. So we'll see what the roller does to that pile of muck that I've left over there. And just because I'm curious to see how much it can do, really. I haven't really tested it properly yet. I played with it in my other game, as you saw, but that's about the stuff you saw on the camera in the YouTube video is about all I've played with the roller, so this will be a bit of fun. I only got to earn 10 times more than this to get clear of debt, so we'll leave that for when I'm not filming. Oh, roller, that's what we're after here, roller. I think it's in the loaders. Yeah, it's in the loaders. Actually click the button, that'll help. There we go. Oh dear. $48 grand. I might just wait. The prices do change. I'll keep an eye on the prices for Dreamite. Kind of expensive when it's half of your cash, and you don't really need it. That's not where we're at. We're at clearing, not blasting. So now we'll just go out with the roller along here to that stuff that I dumped. See if it will roll. Whether that tree will stay away once it's been rolled. Start at the edge of it. Let's roll. It's in So I do need to do the whole road after all. Might as well go back and forth a little. Ah, I see. That's what my friend in the Discord was saying about the rising. Nah, it's a disadvantage, yes, but I can see how that can be used to your advantage as well. So that's a double-edged sword. If you've got a little pothole, it's going to fill it in by rising it. So it's a necessary attribute. What you're seeing is essentially a smoothing tool that's the width of the roller, and I like it. I like it a lot. Like I've been saying, I could probably run up and down with this thing all day long, and probably will for a while. That's a coal seam there, which I'm going to dig into. It's so close. Just process pay dirt in the middle somehow. Yeah, highly tempting. Highly tempting. Let's go into here and just make it a bit easier on the loader. Oh, I'm loving this. This is going to save a lot of hands moving time. Just leave it nearby, so because it's make it slow. But if it was fast, you'd bounce over stuff and it wouldn't be as effective. So I think going over the area multiple times, like with the smoothing tool, is going to help too. So this will mean that getting by the loader's bucket is easier if the entire loader's bucket is in contact. If you hit a spike with any of the buckets or blades, like on the dozer or the grader, as you're putting it down, it will hold it up and it won't cut in, and it will just start sliding over the surface, which is a little unrealistic. But a lot of the problem I have with some gamers is the fact that they're going for realism all the time in such a way of, oh, it's not real, it's not real. But if you want real, go and do it for real, boys. Like, I'm sorry, but stop being a pile of pansy and go out and do it, you know. These are simulated environments, so you have to be very clear on playing within the simulated environment's rules. If you play Fortnite, you can do all those crazy things I've seen on videos. I've never played it. The game's too cartoony for me. I have a problem with these modern cartoony graphics games that are, in my opinion, there I am moaning about people and realism. But for instance, take for example, if you play old Halo, the game felt dirty, you know, like Halo the place felt like it was a few 100 years old or whatever, you know. It had imperfections in it. The graphics detail on it meant that bits of it looked grainy, and I liked it, you know. I like that realistic feel to a game, so I am a fan for realism. I like 7 Days to Die in the fact that the places that there's a bit of variety, you know. Some bits are damaged, some bits aren't. I like this game because you can see a little bit of wear and tear starting to show on my dumper truck there. It's a bit dirty on the inside and stuff. This roller, where it's brand new, is really clean. I like that. So don't get me wrong, I do like a bit of realism, but you have to accept that certain things in games will happen because they need to happen that way for games programming reasons. Just try this out, see if it works. I'm up on the curve, that's not going to roll anything. I will be removing that or turning it into some kind of other edge. This entire road, even though I'm doing all of this stuff on it, is kind of nearly temporary really, because we'll be going downhill very shortly once the top of that seam's cut out. Appear to have lost some tiles under there. Come in with a scraper for when I delete them. Alright, let's go over this and see what happens. Ooh, do some off-roading. Love it. Used to love it. These days if I get shaken around like that, it's probably going to be a bad day in the park. Like death. But I had to fill out a form for the disability, and it said if you walk faster than you normally would, what will happen to you? Oh, my blood pressure will rise, my heart rate will increase, and I risk death. You know, there's no phoning an ambulance, it's just over. So yeah, I'm having a few problems dealing with that, by the way. That's why I keep talking about it. Maybe by talking to myself about it, I'll find some reconciliation. It's just a total loss of everything I was. but I'm still here. Effectively turned into Arnold Rimmer. Can't really pick anything up, or I can interact, I can feed myself, talk to me. But as for doing anything that involves any, effort, yeah, having problems opening jars that are done up too tight at the moment. Like exerting those kind of forces could do something bad. Not allowed to strain my chest muscles, and judging from the way the doc's talking, it's kind of going to be the way forever. So yeah, thanks doc, thanks for hitting that artery. So angry but can't release it, can't go. Terrible thing, trauma. Terrible thing, people who can't do their job properly as well, but there we go. I'm hoping I'm doing a proper job on this rolling. We'll find out next time I take that dumper along here. But it seemed to smooth out what I tipped pretty well. Find out when I take this through there as well. It seems to be doing the job on the rest of the road. We're definitely not bouncing around as much as when I first, he says. That was me sort of dipping my finger on the accelerator, and this thing bounces around a bit when it stops and starts, because I guess those front rolls, like traction engine rollers, are probably quite heavy. So when you stop them and start them, the springs at the back are going to bounce around a bit. And that tree came back again. I'm going to have to come down here and dump some dirt and get rid of that tree. Well, appeared to do the job on that run of muck that I dumped along there, didn't it? Smooth that out nicely. I like this roller, I really do. It's making life pretty easy on the smoothing. This would have taken a while. I'd probably have done it when the machine was processing. Probably should have set the machine up to process whilst I was doing this, but I'm ripping out lithium for profit. No need for the machine. You can see the bulldozer down there. I'm using it to deal with the waste pile and extend the waste pile out. So yeah, there's plans going down up here quietly. Little things are being worked on. You can see the roads being extended up that way, heading out toward the antenna, so I can get some fuel truck missions done, which is probably going to be the next purchase. It'll also save me driving vehicles that are slower than slow, like this one, back and forth between the, because I'm doing long distance mining, I'm probably going to need a fuel truck sort of parked at the mine full of fuel all the time, especially if the fuel consumptions get more realistic. Though this one should be pretty easy on fuel. It's only got one exhaust. It's not like the loader with two. Likewise, the dumper should be pretty efficient, because that's what they do, is just haul. So things that are working, the hydraulic motors like the excavators and your loaders and your bulldozers, they should drink, because I think they do in real life. Remember when they were building the bypass, 2 or 3 times a day there was a fuel truck coming around, topping them all off. So don't know if any of my viewers are a real life operator. What is the fuel consumption like on the real equipment? You know, is it that bad? Because if so, that just made all those electric cars way more carbon unfriendly. It requires loads and loads of diesel from a mining, like load of mining equipment. Assuming, yeah, they're probably going to be diesel still. Don't see them using like gas in them like they do for forklifts or anything like that. Though I suppose in enclosed mines they may well use different power systems to diesel, mainly to avoid generating fumes and suffocating everyone, you know. Take this over here, I think. I'll make another pass into this area because I am going to be coming through here. Probably didn't go through that bit. And then down here. Because this is the start of a ram. It's going to get probably adjusted. But yeah, I'm going to try running machinery, and instead of tipping it into a dumper and having to watch it to see when the dumper's full and all of that shenanigans, I'm just going to pile it up because it appears to be pretty valueless. I think a full load of stuff that I got from the topsoil and stuff. I had to run a lot of topsoil and stuff to get that full load, admittedly, but that because it's not very high in stone. But it's only £4 grand, so I'm just going to pile it up in a heap and then either run it through a crusher or just trade it in bulk by loading it a few times with a dumper. I think probably the way to go at the moment. Trying to stay away from the conveyor line thing, but judging from the fact that I've been suffering from lag in-game without the conveyor line here, I mean I was seeing lag without any equipment at all, so yeah, I was just like, yeah. So yeah, as I say, I'll be taking all those tiles out. They were just a level, like a surveying tool. I just used them as a level to see pretty much where everything was lying. What height I wanted this seam. I came over here with a GPS set, started cutting a step, put in some of these panels, and then just extended the panel line around there. And I'll keep tipping material out along that line. I might put in some wall panels on it and turn it into a solid structure, I don't know yet. Over here, because we're taking out this lithium vein here, and there's also another one, and this one I think extends to somewhere here anyway, but there's also another one below us there. I believe that's a lithium seam as well. So I'm going to take out both, which means all the material under me is going to be gone, which means we're going to need a bridge. So that'll be a fun little project for me. It's going to be good practice as well, because there's other places on the map further round on this road. So I'm going to try and keep to this level until it starts going downhill over there. Go across where that seam is in that ridge behind it, and then go down that ridge and along it to the other place, like a big spiralling high road. And then I'm going to have a low road through the valley that goes in the same direction down the hill, like in my old map, because we'll need access to the lower sections of these seams, you see. So it'll all come together, and there's another seam uphill from here. I don't know how far it is to it, but I think that's lithium as well, just there. So there's coal just there as well. So I'm going to take out another whole hill. It's just going to be a hill that's worth a lot more money than the other one. I may cut into those platinum and lithium seams that are behind me, where I was working before, because they are a fairly reasonable sized seam, but I think I'll work them differently this time. If that makes sense. Don't dump it in the machine, JP. No frame drops yet, so that's kind of good. The hoppers that are definitely worse for the frame drop thing, so there is something for what's happening. I think I saw mentioned in the Discord that they weren't deleting the dirt after they'd handled it, so that would involve a file package getting bigger and bigger and bigger until the game engine couldn't handle it or something. That would do it. So hopefully they're on their way to a quick fix for that one. That would be good news. Be interesting to see how I handle running these with joysticks. Don't know whether you steer them on a joystick as well, because I mainly thought the twin joysticks would be most useful in the excavators, but let me know your experiences in the comments with joysticks. Be curious to know. I got some weird ones that are for a flight sim, some Airbus sim thing. They normally come with a throttle quadrant, but I managed to swap the throttle quadrant for the second stick for a discount as well, which was quite nice of them. And the nice thing about them, because they're designed for an aircraft simulator, aircraft side sticks I think can be on the right or the left, depending on model and type and which side of the cockpit you're sitting or whatever. So they're ambidextrous, and I grabbed hold of the thing in the shop, and my mate who was with me did as well, and he was just like, yeah, that one's really comfy left or right handed. I was like, yeah, I think it's the one. It's a bit more expensive, spent a bit more than I wanted to, but at least it gives me something to open on Christmas Day with the family. And new keyboard and mouse as well, so yeah, it's going to be fun, it's going to be nice. I think I'm going to have to build myself a nice little gaming chair with some custom shelving around it for the bits and pieces, but maybe a bit of a reorganisation of the room. new me really. It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. Let's see how much this load gets. It's not full load, but I think material gets deleted rather than overflowing from dumpers in bulking mode, which could be kind of handy if you don't want waste material lying around. But it means that when you're loading it up, you have to watch out a bit, because otherwise you could delete sort of 40 grand's worth of rich stuff by just putting, you know, 1.5 buckets too many in because you're not thinking, or it's late at night. If you're like me, I pity anyone like me who ends up gaming at the times of night I do, because I can't sleep. I really, really do. Insomnia is a pig, utter pig of a thing to deal with. Relaxation's good though. If anyone wants a video of me gaming quietly to myself whilst muttering relaxation mantra, let me know. I do know one good one that works quite well if you want to get knocked out and go to sleep. So I should imagine this gameplay on mute is probably pretty good. I know there's a few videos online that I watch that, yeah, 15 minutes of that and I'm gone. Snoozing away. Cold War documentaries from the Cold War era that were meant for like government stuff, like the Pentagon briefings on nuclear weapons tests and that kind of thing. It's the narrators, they've got such boring voices. I'm just gone. The moment that, like 15 minutes in, 20 minutes in, it's brilliant. And then the next time I set it 15 or 20 minutes in and watch the next bit and go to sleep again. And eventually, you know, 3 or 4 nights worth in, we've watched the whole thing, it's gone into my memory and everything's cool. Kind of got a... If I read something 3 times, I probably remember it word for word, so it's kind of handy. Pictures just go in, like diagrams and stuff, click. Maths is a bit different. When I'm doing maths, I sort of throw the numbers into my head and it comes back at me with a rough figure and I go with that, because life never matches the maths. Terrible really, should sort that out. But yeah, it's a bit like gaming. I sort of look at something and go, yeah, we can try that, that'll fix that. Clink, clink, click. Don't know why. Quite often I'll nail where a problem is, but I can't tell you why. I'm not a software guy. It's like this FPS drop thing's just doing my nut. Keep talking about it. No. Yeah. Right there. Give me some money. Give me some money. Without rolling my dumper because I haven't raised my boom enough. Numpty. If you're not familiar with the term numpty, yeah, don't worry about it. But numpty would have been me tipping that over and spilling it everywhere. That would have been numpty. So yeah, I mean, gameplay of Out of Ore currently. Dig, get paid, dig, get paid until you're out of debt. That's the way it is. Probably isn't so different with real life mining, let's be honest. These machines are not cheap, they've got to work to pay for themselves. Like that roller, 200 grand, the roller never earns you anything. Never does anything useful towards production other than giving you smooth roads. And smooth roads are good. Sort of speed I went back and forth along that one with the dumper. So the roller doesn't earn you money, but it earns you time because you stop bouncing around and all the little lumps and everything. You should imagine if you smooth an area before you start digging, it'll make your life a lot easier with the loader and stuff. I am going to go for a full load. Let's top it off. But we'll top it off with something that isn't pure lithium. Get rid of some of this stone and mud, because I can tip the rest into the hopper. And that way it's not sort of a wasted journey. Okay. So yeah, eventually there's going to be some more machinery up here. I'm going to start parallel running those things. I'm just tipping what comes out. And any pure stuff will go straight into a dumper or into a line back. Still creeping up. I reckon that's full. Might get a little bit more in actually. Let's see. There's a little gap between the texture and the... No, that's full. Right, it's full. Okay. There's a little gap between the texture and the dumper, and it stays there a little when it's full, but you can use it as a little bit of a gauge to see how much is on there really when you're getting up to those kind of fullness levels. Parking brake, just in case. Never can tell, right? Yeah, you can see, if I zoom in a little, that little gap down the edge of that texture. See it? That tells you when you're full. Once it meets, there's an angle on the top vertical surface of the inside, and it comes vertically up off of the corner of that angle, whereas the other one's on like 1 or 2 degrees. So once you see that V shape and those two angles have met, you're full, I think. I don't think there's much extra that you get in on top. Which is a little different to the old method where it was as many balls as possible that you could get in with the load lock, but I prefer this. It is nice and smooth. We're only seeing, you know, frame rate drop down into the 40s there when we tip. It's a lot worse when you're tipping waste onto the roads. 112 grand. That was nice. Very nicey. Wee-hee-hee. Let's not hit the bank. Yeah, I need to make this road wider. Definitely need to tip more material over here. It's going to happen because that's what that dozer's doing down there. It's just going to bank up material all the way along the road and then remove the tiles. So yeah, the tiles just act as a firm edge, so you can't bulldoze the root of that firm edge away. As I build it up, I'll probably extend them outwards. As I say, they're not going to remain because you saw how hitting them is affecting the handling of the dumper. It just bounces around everywhere. That's why I prefer the roads to be made out of dirt than building them out of the tiles, because wherever you switch from tile to dirt, you're going to get that happening. There's no way around it. So what do? It's that, or you make your roads big enough out of the concrete everywhere. I can lay it pretty quick, but it's going to take you a while if you do things that way. But it is a way of getting a smooth, nice finish, and I suppose I've never been in a really big mine, but I expect there are areas where they put down concrete in panels. They might lift it in panels again, they might be removable sections, I don't know. Not my field. I'd like it to be though. Maybe I should do some research, watch some YouTube documentaries or something. People running machinery in mines. I do watch the, there's some videos out there if you're interested of gyratory cone crushers, and they've got these big hoppers above them, and even those big giant things get clogged. They have to go in with diggers and stuff to clear them, so clogging hoppers is not necessarily unrealistic. So yeah, all in all, I'm really quite happy with this update and that roller. I really am. They can just sort out this FPS issue and get the game optimised and running a little better. It will be beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Especially when compared to the development times on other games I've played. Just they've been a mess. They're all built on the Unreal 4 engine, and they've all got this memory leak problem. Which is quite interesting. There is an Unreal 5 engine out there, but I don't know if that's available yet. And if it's still got these kind of problems, it may not be worth using. Maybe better off fault finding the old one or something. Not my field. I did think about it at one point when I was thinking about building a game. I looked into which ones to use and that kind of thing, but I'm going to be honest, I got confused and decided to stay away. Software's never been my thing, I've never been good at it. I understand how certain stuff works and how you can build certain things with certain programs. Most of them are just assemblies of tables of different values that work together. Oops, spilled a bit. Never mind. The whole area's coming out. I'm going to get it again. I dump a load of stuff in front of the seam because I was like, I'll dig that out later. Well, it wasn't a dumper load. It was so small it wasn't worth running up. This stuff looks like it's just stone really, but a little bit of white colour in there. But as I say, that area directly in front is where the coal seam is, so I'll be having that out. That or it'll get bulldozed along, one of the two. What it does mean is there'll be a bit of extra space for a little bit of extra load. So yeah, this will probably be what I'm spending most of my day-to-day doing. Just gently digging out here. The last section of that scoop was just to scoop it up into a pile that'll be easier to dig the next time I go in. And you can just keep scraping away at the ground. Like this lithium, top of this lithium seam would have been gone by now in the old mode. So it's really quite efficient. Stop growing. One thing I am going to enjoy, I think, is if the hat switch does the camera angle. That's going to be nice. It's going to make some more stable viewing. Because what happened when I was dumping into that dumper, I clicked to operate the front, and instead, for some reason, it didn't register. Could be my bad. I may have damaged this mouse. During the early reiteration of this game, it was click to smooth, and yeah, I did a lot of smoothing. We didn't have a roller. Christian changed it to hold smooth pretty quick, but not quick enough to save this. It wasn't even that cheap a mouse, but compared to the prices I saw the other day, it is a cheap mouse. Gaming gear has changed. The whole scene has changed. Everything's got flashy lights and lovely bits, and finding something simple, cheap and effective that's big enough for my hands was kind of difficult. I think we got there in the end. Also a very limited range. The high street store, well, it wasn't an industrial estate store, you know, and they had lots and lots of stuff in there, but the gaming section for PCs was tiny, with very little variety. Even things like hard drives weren't in stock in the store, they were online only. It was yeah, an eye-opener. I remember the days where there was shops that you could just walk into and get components of all sorts. Brilliant. There we go. Yeah, we were also allowed to play with things that didn't have safety labels on them. I reckon the world would be a better place if you remove all the safety labels. You know, like this, you know, the silly ones, like on a packet of peanuts, warning this may contain nuts. Warning this coffee may be hot. Warning, do not drink contents of battery. Who needs those kind of warnings? Like if you need that kind of warning, you probably shouldn't be using the technology. You're not safe with it. But there we go, you know. You see these news stories every day of people doing these silly things, so and sillier. So yeah, hope for the human race. Though I do like reading some of the Darwin Awards, some of the things people die doing. What? Why were you even there? So yeah, they make funny reading if you're ever bored. Just trying to think of some other things like that. Can't think of any off the top of my head. What's the frame rate doing? Yeah, we're nearly at the point of stopping mining. That was a 28, so we can probably get in another 10 bucketfuls or so before everything goes to pot, as it were, on the frame rate. We can see 6s. 6? A 6? Jeez. It's not like we're modifying massive amounts of terrain either. I still think it's something to do with how it's written. Take some more in here anyway. You see, we didn't get as much frame rate drop there, I'll do it again. Let's see if I can make that frame rate indicator bigger for you guys, or get a program that does it. Someone did say, do I use a program for it? But it is just the Steam dashboard frame rate indicator. So nothing special, nothing fancy. So if it's inaccurate, blame that. I'll just do it again, and this time I'll position the camera so I can see it. There we go. 48, 43, 52, 50. So yeah, the game's capped at 60 at the moment anyway, I believe, because when you turn VSync off you get 60. Perhaps I should try it with VSync off again. I've tried it before, it didn't seem to make any difference. So now we'll take another scoop and we'll put this one into the hopper. This is a final little bit of a demonstration about why I've got a gripe with the FPS-ish. I think we've got most of that material out of there now. So I can go back to ripping out pure lithium. Eee! Makes me smile, ripping out the pure stuff. Used to be a really big day because you'd have to clear a lot of material, but now there's plenty there. We'll just watch that FPS indicator again. There we go. Oh, 19, 16, 22, hello. So that was when I just dumped the bucket. And now we've got 4 minutes left on the video, so I can quickly demonstrate this, and if you survive this long you'll be getting the analytical stuff. So well done, well done. Yeah, thank you everybody for viewing. As I say, trying to improve my delivery and staying on subject. Haven't done that well today, but it's Saturday morning and JP is feeling a little relaxed. And he knows he's got a lot of work to do in here, and he's thinking about playing another game and making videos, and it's not turning into work, it's just I don't like changing game. I'm not that good at it. So that's got that empty. We're at 50 frames per second, and I'm just going to try and tip it out slowly this time. So tipping it out slowly into the hopper isn't giving us as bad a frame rate hit, but we're still down 35. So if you're having game crashes when you dump out of it, try dumping it out slowly into these hoppers, and it seems to help. Okay, that's one hot tip that you're only going to get if you're a dedicated watcher, and I know you are out there because some of my videos have got average watch times, but they've all got average watch times on the analytics, but some of them are higher than others. So you know which ones that people are staying watching, and the bit I have trouble with is learning which ones to sort of put up, or why people watch those specific ones. I have no idea, you know. So kind of cool. Like one person said there was a lot of people out there on YouTube, and it's true, but how many are playing out of awe? How many even think about it? And I do know several of my watchers don't have the ability to play the game, either due to machinery or life reasons. So I'm glad you guys are enjoying watching it, seeing where I go, what I do. Things that development games force us to do sometimes, like this restart, but gotta be honest, I'm liking having a tidier map. I had ripped the place apart, so it's not a bad thing in you know, retrospect, I guess is the right word. Just take a little bit out behind the dumper there. Remove that. There we go. Don't remove the dumper. So yeah, if you ever roll the dumper, the loader's got more than enough oomph to do the job and sort out the problem for you. It can roll the dumper back over quite easily, as long as the load bed's not up. That makes things a bit awkward. I'm just going to dump the rest in this hopper. So yeah, we're coming up on an hour, so I'll probably lose the audio, then I need to go into the settings and sort it out. See if we can get some higher definition for you guys as well. But a big thank you to all my viewers and subscribers. If you're not a subscriber yet, please hit the subscription button. The channel's just fun, I don't make any money. But it's nice to know you're out there, and you'll get pings about new videos. If you don't like those pings, just mute the channel. I could really do with the support. And it means a lot to me. It does. It means a lot to know people are out there. It makes the internet feel more real. So yeah, thank you very much everybody, and I'll see you soon for another instalment. Mr. JP clocking off for the moment.